We're Hassani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships.
This is the Couples Academy Show.
Well, welcome everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is the Couples Academy Show. My name is Hassani.
My name is Roland.
I'm Miss Jewel.
And we are here as Couples Academy practitioners. I think we got one more who just jumped in. She just jumped in. I don't know where she was at, but now we can start the show. She's arrived. Lakeisha Hines is in the building. We're talking today about a different topic, a new topic, a topic that maybe some of you have been struggling with for many years in your marriage. This is an issue of domestic support in the relationship. We're talking about weaponized incompetence. Now, big term, big word. I don't even know what that means. What does that mean? Well, we're going to unpack it today. But before we get into today's topic, I just want to mention once again, Last Chance Weekend, the last one's coming up, December the 9th through the 11th. Make sure you are there. It's going to be fantabulous. We're going to have prayerfully the entire team who'll be traveling from all over the country to be there to pour into you and to your spouse. So make sure you register for that. But let's dive into weaponized incompetence. Now, let's give some context for this. One of the things we talk about here at Couples Academy is that there is a unique difference between your marriage and your relationship. Your relationship speaks to your connection, right? Your companionship with your spouse. But your marriage speaks to your partnership, how you show up, your ability to, maintain a household, duties, responsibilities, obligations, the roles, delegation of responsibility. And oftentimes this is where a lot of couples struggle. Because, oftentimes a wife in particular may feel as if she's carrying all the weight. There's all these balls that she's juggling, all these hats that she's wearing, and not necessarily getting the help that she needs from her man. Okay. So I think this is going to be an awesome conversation. There's 2 men, there's 2 women. I hope we take a balanced approach to this. Jewel, I want you to start us off. What are your thoughts about this whole idea of wives really struggling? Because, when women get alone in their own space, they be talking and they be talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. And oftentimes they say, I feel like my spouse is like my dependent, like a 3rd or 4th or 5th child. I have to do everything for the kids and for him. Talk about the struggle of women in this space.
It's really bad because, we never want to think of our spouses as another child. But there's nothing like, it is really hard to work, come home, cook, clean, do the laundry, run the vacuum, take care of the kids. And then, your spouse come home and they're looking for dinner, or they're looking to play video games, or they're on their cell phones. And it is frustrating because at that point in time, you feel like you're all alone in this space. You're the only one that can make decisions. And you're the only one that can clean. You're the only one that can do laundry. And you wonder, is this what I signed up for? You have a mate. So you think, okay, everything is going to be, this weight is going to be divided. There's going to be days where he cooks. There's going to be days where I cook. There's going to be, where it's such a struggle that it starts impacting your relationship, because now you're feeling some kind of way where you start harboring these feelings for your spouse because there's no help there. And although, you guys understand your gender roles, yes, I understand that as a wife, there are things that I am supposed to do, but I need a break too. And if I don't get that break, that frustration is going to be forced out somewhere. Somebody's going to get the grunt of that, and it's normally your spouse.
Wow.
It's going to make the difference.
Lakeisha, jump in here. Jump into this conversation. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, obviously, she said a lot of relevant points.
Yeah, I mean, this strategic incompetence pretending as if you don't know how to do something definitely comes off. It can literally be a betrayal. Like, let's just keep it real. It can be a betrayal because you're lying, you're being dishonest, you're presenting as if you don't know how to do something or you can't figure out how to do it, and it's a betrayal and it's dishonest, and it can really cause a major wedge between you and your partner, as you said, Jewel. And it's not just coming home expecting dinner, it's coming home expecting sex, it's coming home expecting affection, communication. And if this is a stay-at-home parent, because remember, this could be a female or male that is the one that's exhibiting this weaponized incompetence, they literally could be at home all day taking care of kids, and when you come home, you're expecting to have a certain level of attention and support from them or service from them, and you're not even considering what all they've been through that entire day. And it's inconsiderate and it's selfish in a lot of ways.
Roland, you're muted. We can't hear you, bro. You got to talk.
I got you. It's unfortunate that we have this systematic way of doing things from generation to generation, right? And in our mind, to your point, Jewel, the gender roles that we try to play on, right? It could be frustrating, I know, for women, but it could be the same for men as well. Expecting us to show up a certain way just because, right? And that's not fair on both sides, right? And so we have to be aware of the tricks and also the strategic way we go about doing things, to Lakeisha's point, to compromise the relationship, because it is a betrayal when we show up and act like we don't know what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and put all the weight on our spouses. It's not fair and it's not right.
Well, let me ask you a question. Let's get into the minds of why people would act incompetent and refuse to show up in the space. Now, I know we're talking about men primarily, but I can think of a relationship where the husband was the primary caretaker of the children. He cooked, he cleaned, he took the girls to school every day, and the wife just tapped out. She was not engaged at all. She didn't show up as a mother. She didn't show up in terms of domestic responsibilities. She just was not that type of parent. I know another couple, similar situation. Is the father, the husband, who's the main, and I'm not talking about he's the stay-at-home husband. I'm not talking about she's out working, he's home. I'm talking about they both have jobs, but yet and still he's the one. And she does not engage in that space. So what is happening in the hearts and the minds of the person who refuses to show up in this way, even though it is a major part of a relationship? When we talk about these emotional needs, for many people, domestic support is one of the top most important needs that, if not done successfully, could put a strain on their relationship. So maybe you've talked to your clients, maybe you've been guilty of this yourself, maybe you've been the one who suffered because your spouse was this way and you had a conversation. Let's get into the hearts and minds. What do you guys think?
Well, I will jump in and say I was her. I was the one who tapped out, literally, and a lot of it had to do with my needs not being met. And I don't believe at the time it was intentional. It's not like I made a conscious decision that I'm just not going to do anything, I'm just not going to contribute. I literally was in a space of hopelessness where I had reached out, asked for certain things, from my husband. He wasn't giving me those things that I needed. And so I was just in a place of darkness and despair and hopelessness. And I tapped out. Like, I just needed to get my mental and my emotional something under control. So literally, I just went into this little cocoon for a season where it's just like, literally, there was just a shell of me there. So it wasn't doing anything domestic support around the house, because I'm like, right now, I just need to take care of me, because no one else is taking care of me. I need to take care of me. Kids are pulling on me. Work is pulling on me. My husband's pulling on me. And I just need something where I can just zone out. But at the end of the day, that's not the best approach. It's not the best way to handle that situation. You have to communicate And you have to share that, listen, this is where I'm at. And if I don't get help, if I don't get support, if we don't connect as teammates, there's no way we're going to continue to thrive and grow and have a happy, healthy relationship. But so for me, it wasn't manipulation, but for some people it is. Some people, it truly is them trying to manipulate the situation to get out of doing something in the moment. And it's like, if I mess up while I'm doing the thing, then they won't ask me to do it anymore. If I mess it up bad enough, they'll just take it over and they'll do it themselves. So for me, it was a manipulation, but I know for some it is, that he won't ask me to do it again if I mess up, or she won't ask me to do it again if I mess up.
Well, you hit on something right there. And I want to thank you for your transparency and your willingness to share your story and the struggle that you had. And that's what makes Couples Academy so powerful. We intentionally, bring people onto the team who have been where you are currently at. So not only are they going to give you a textbook response, but they're going to walk you through their journey and how they overcame. A lot of therapists, a lot of practitioners do not do that. They're trained not to do that. And that's why there's a disconnect. But you hit on something right there, because one thing that I know for sure is that oftentimes when couples suffer from any type of betrayal, whether it's the husband or the wife, they get to the space where they do tap out. And it's not like they're intentionally trying to do it, but I'm such in a negative, dark space. I'm no good to anybody, let alone myself. And so cooking, that's the last thing that's on my mind. Washing clothes and doing dishes and making sure you did your homework and you took your bath. I have seen the devastating impact that a hurt partner or the pain on the hurt partner and how it ultimately affects the entire household. This is why it's so damaging. This is why we say when you cheat on your spouse, you're also cheating on your family. Like everybody's impacted by what that person is going through. So yeah, it's like we're taking a different turn here. Yes, there are those who weaponize their incompetence, but then others who just don't show up. And so therefore they're showing up incompetent in certain spaces because of what they're internally dealing with. We want to continue to talk about this on the other side of this break. We're going to take a quick commercial. Stay right there. We're going to get to your comments and your questions. Be right back.
Welcome to the Couples Academy app. The Couples Academy app is your go-to hub for how to do marriage right. Get started with our app today by perusing our amazing features that conveniently allow you to connect. This app is packed with powerful content and resources to help you grow and stay connected. With this app, you can watch our messages, find marriage resources, watch, listen, and read the real-life stories of restored couples, sign up for events, read articles and blog posts, stay up to date with push notifications, share your favorite messages via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or email, and download messages for offline listening. For more information about the Couples Academy app, go to couplesacademy.org.
When 45 men from all walks of life come together in one place for one purpose, there is a collective harmony that produces an amplification of power that leaves an impact on the lives of men that cannot be erased. A fraternity of legendary men, all at the tipping point, on the precipice of greatness, meeting for one weekend to turn their worlds inside out. For the first time ever, the Foundry experience. Not an event, not a seminar or retreat, but an opportunity to come face to face with the man you were always destined to be. If you want a life that's better than the one that you are living, meet us January 2023 for the Foundry experience.
Hey, you guys, welcome back to Couples Academy. First, I want to say is If you guys have not signed up for the Last Chance Weekend, please do so. This is the last month of the year. Let's start our new year off right. Let's get these relationships, these marriages back on the right track, and let's do the things that we need to do. But before we get to the comments, I did want to make a quick comment on what Keisha was just talking about. One of the things I want to say is sometimes it's just not that we're ignorant to what we should be doing or that we don't want to do it. It could be that we just don't know how, whether it be the husband or the wife. Some spouses have never had to look after anyone other than themselves, and or they were waited on all their life. They were pampered. They never had no responsibilities they had to do or take care of. They were already always taken care of. So now that they're in these relationships, nothing's changed. And this is where we go back to communication, because in the beginning, this is something that married people should really conversate on, is how, what the expectation is when it comes to household roles and children roles and responsibility roles. If there's no conversation, then it's just left up in the air that either she's going to take care of it or I'm going to take care of it. And or you allow one or the other to do it for so long that they figure he's been doing it this long. Why stop now? So I do know one of my couples, I want to say, is growing up, he was always taught that a man is to work and bring the money home to pay the bills. That was it. That a wife's role is to basically old school, be barefoot, pregnant, take care of the kids, take care of, the household and everything else. And that might have worked way back in the day, but that don't work now. That you say that to a woman now, you ready to fight. So we have to take in consideration that a lot of conversation needs to be held from the door in the beginning on what the expectation is. And if you don't know how to do something, then it's never too late to learn.
Jewel, that's a great point. A lot of men in particular want a traditional woman in untraditional times. They want a conventional woman, but we're in unconventional times. And so to your point, we have to adjust to the time. And a lot of people have been raised and trained and acculturated to believe these are what the roles should be. And I work outside the home, you work inside the home. But the challenge is many women work both outside and inside the home. So they have the 9 to 5 as well. And then they come home and enter into their second shift, which is 5 to 9. So they're doing everything. And a man oftentimes, at least in times past, will come home, kick his feet up, open up that newspaper, watch sports, ESPN, a movie, and he wants to be, served on hand and foot. And she's just like, when do I get time for myself? And this is why so many women suffer from depression and all types of things. I know you're chomping at the bits over there, but I want to bring Roland into
I got a question for Roland.
Oh, I got
a question for Roland. So listen, Roland, because you represent for the brothers all the time, right? You show up for the brothers, Roland. So have you ever, because I know you haven't experienced it, because Janella, I already know she hasn't done this. So we're talking about other wives, right? That maybe have set the expectations too high, like they've been too strict with how they want things done. Can you identify with, well, not you, Roland, but any of your clients? Can you identify maybe some of the clients that have experienced something like that?
Well, let me say a couple things first. One, let me just say I commend all of you ladies for what you do. We appreciate you nonetheless, okay? I know how it looks. I know how things have been, but happy Mother's Day to you in November, okay? We appreciate you. Good morning, gorgeous. Good morning, gorgeous, okay? We appreciate you. Let me just say that off the rip, okay? But the fact of the matter is, listen, you women make things look honestly so easy, right? I always thought that my wife was Wonder Woman. I thought because she did this balancing act that I could not believe or understand or just imagine how it was getting done. And it wasn't until I tapped into our partnership to realize how much she was doing. When I gave in to myself, because I was that dude, right? She made it easy. I came home, everything was done. I didn't know that I needed to participate, right? But she was the woman that wanted to take care of her home. And I understood that, right? There is an expectation a lot of times from men and from women that's not being communicated. And when it's not being communicated, then the ball gets dropped, right? Resentment builds up, time goes by, and the expectation is, oh, well, I thought you was going to handle it. You've been handling it. I thought that's how it was supposed to be, right? But it wasn't until I tapped into seeing the fact that I don't know how she did it. She cooked, she cleaned, she took the boys to school, she picked them up, she put them to bed, she gave them a bath. I was like, what in the world is happening, right? And so men, we have to understand our role as well, right? We have to tap into the partnership of our marriages so that way we can see what's actually going on. I had the opportunity to be at home for a period of time by default and was able to see how the ship was being managed. And I honestly, I was upset with myself as a man. It made me look at myself differently, to show up differently. And, I'm able to turn a stove on now and boil a pot of water because I've been able to see what's happening and jump right in. So
I'm sorry. I was guilty of that, Roland. My bad. I am sorry, because I was that wife where, I'm so regimented. There were certain things that I wanted done a certain way. I clean a certain way. I do laundry a certain way. I'm the one that's still separating. I want everything separated a certain way. And that's just how it is. So, even though my husband had an independence and was able to do those things before we got married, once we got married and he saw that I was just so regimented with things, he did not want to disrupt that flow. You know what I'm saying? And he would say, well, you wash clothes a different way. So I didn't want to mess anything up. And I'm like, well, then wash your own clothes and leave mine alone. They ain't got nothing to do with the sheets, the rags, nothing like that. But you're right, is because we do go in with a certain way of how we want our home to be. And I think sometimes we do make it harder for our husbands to help, because if they can't do the things that the way we do it, we always got something to say, so to keep.
I needed a bomb on that, because you always have something to say.
Wait, what about when we go behind them and redo it? Like after they've done it and we go behind them and redo it, like how disrespectful is that? Like, even though you're not verbally saying something, physically what you're saying, what you're projecting is that you didn't do it good enough. And so that makes them feel like, well, what's the point? Why even try to help out?
It's one thing when they walk away and you're like, and you do it behind them. But when you're intentionally doing it in front of them to demonstrate your frustration about what they didn't do right. And man, you guys are hitting on something.
Especially a lesson well learned, because I will. Go ahead. Go ahead, Roland.
Wait, can I give y'all a little secret really quick? To Hassani's point, if you're going to do something after we've done it, let us walk away first and then you do it, right? Don't do it right in front of us. Because I'm telling you right now, once you do that, I can guarantee I will not go in that area again. You don't have to worry about me messing with it, because you've already let me know that it wasn't done correctly, and I'm not going to do it again. So now you can check that off. Just a little secret for you ladies to know.
And I was getting ready to say. That's all I was getting ready to say. I tell all my clients now, whatever you do, when they start helping, let them help. Just, deal. If it's not the way you want it to be done, just be thankful that they are willing to help and let well enough be.
Yeah, in Danielle's words, I reject that. I refuse to tell you and co-sign that you need to go behind your husband and redo something that he's done. Either you want the help or you don't. And that is what it is, right? Because even with that can be sneaky and conniving. And no, we're not going behind you redoing. We're going to have a conversation. And we're going to say, listen, this is the way I would like it to be done. Can you do it this way? Then if they say yes, cool. If they say no, then you know what? I'll handle this. You can help out over there. Send them somewhere else. But going behind them and redoing it, like, who got time for all of that? No, you need to have open, honest communication. See, that's where the enemy put their foot in, right? With you going behind doing these little sneaky things. Like, don't do that. Just either let them help or don't.
And when you do have that conversation, make sure it's a pleasant conversation. Like, turn it into, like, maybe it's a subject on your work day. Hey, let's have an experiential day and let's reload the dishwasher. And I want it done this way, but I don't want it done this way because this is just the way I want it. The reason why you put the bowls down instead of up is because if the bowls are up and you put the dishwasher on, now dirty water gets sat in the bowl. Like, teach them. Teach your children, teach your wife, teach your husband, because once they get the aha moment, they're like, oh, see, now they give more care and attention and intentionality to what it is that needs to be done. So it's all about the approach. It's all about the approach. And then if they still don't get it right after time, then you delegate responsibilities. You do this, I'll do that. And now, at least there's shared help. Does that make sense?
Yes. Wives, here's the secret. Roland giving out secrets. I'm going to give one too. Listen, tell him, after he do all the things, give you the domestic support, you're going to get naked. Tell them you're going to get naked afterwards, and then they'll clean up everything you want them to clean up. Just
that's a motivator. That's
just don't get naked and
That's a bomb. That's a bomb drop. Listen, there's so many comments in here, and I know we only have a couple minutes, but I definitely want to acknowledge some of the people who have spoken. I mean, it seems like we need to do a part 2 to this, but Tiffany says, my husband does this. It pisses me off so bad. I've tapped out earlier this year, but because God has told me I need to show up, but it is so exhausting. Doesn't keep promises, she goes on to say. And then he says therapy is good, but he wants to go, but he won't go through with it. So we haven't been able to get involved in Last Chance Weekend or counseling, but I'm counseling privately on my own. Well, Tiffany, you're doing something. You're doing something. So I want to encourage you to continue to do something to get your sanity back. And hopefully he'll be able to turn things around and we can meet you here in Atlanta, Georgia for Last Chance Weekend. Ben says something very powerful. He says, not all men are soft. I work 40 plus moving steel, then come home, clean and domesticate support. Weaponized incompetence happens in the bedroom with wives too. Now he done said that thing. That right there is that's a topic, Lakeisha Hines.
Yeah, it is.
On your show. Wow.
Thank you, Ben. Give me 2 weeks.
Weaponized incompetence in the bedroom. Good God. All right. Popette says, yes, 110% agree with Jules. Men do things differently. I will rearrange the dishwasher after he's done it, but I'm thankful that the dishes made it in there. Yeah. David says, truth. This is a good conversation. Listen, guys, the comments are coming in, but I want to leave you with something before we close out the show. There's a book that I read some time ago that I thought was absolutely phenomenal. It was, now I wrote the book, Why We Hate Black Women and Why We Should Love Them. I wrote that book and it's a deep book. If you've never heard of it, you need to get it. And we're talking about a lot of these things. There's a chapter in the book entitled Too Strong for Your Own Good. And it talks about how oftentimes a woman who operates in strength, even in the domestic space, gives a husband justification for him not to have to do anything, and how it puts all this weight and pressure and responsibility on a wife that she does not deserve. Now, and that's just one of the chapters in the book. But after I wrote that book, I came across another book called The Superior Wife Syndrome. It was written by a Jewish woman, and she was talking about the cultural elements in the Jewish community of how all this responsibility falls upon these women and they're forced to be strong. And I'm like, oh my God, look at the parallels, right? And so I wanted to pull these books up because I want to encourage you to get these books, read these books on your own with your spouse. The Superior Wife Syndrome, why I think the subtitle says, Why Women Do Everything So Well and Why for the Sake of Our Marriages, We've Got to Stop. And you got to get Why We Hate Black Women and Why We Should Love Them, because we're talking about all of these issues and there's so many similarities. And if you really want to set your marriage up right and have a long-lasting, mutually beneficial relationship, get down with these books, continue to tune into this show. This was a good conversation. We may have to pick this up because the chat is blowing up and we ran out of time. But listen, guys, we want to say that we love you. We appreciate you. Tomorrow's another great day. Tune in so we can continue the conversation. Take care. Peace.